I'm Raymond Wong. I'm a director of Kim Choo Holdings, and I've been running this Rumah Kim Choo since 2004. Our family actually originally does traditional Peranakan food like Nonya Chang, Nonya Kueh Kuehs as early as my great-grandmother's time is in 1945. There are many activities that we do in Rumah Kim Choo. We have Peranakan beading classes, where we actually let people who want to experience Peranakan beading to learn Peranakan beadwork. In our Rumah Kim Choo, we also sell lifestyle items like Peranakan porcelain, beaded shoes, Nonya Kebayas, batik sarongs, and it's a one-stop where you can actually get most Peranakan apparel items in our shop. The most interesting part is the 1950s and 60s, where you notice that the Kebayas used to be a loose-fit costume, as most of the old photos used to feature. By the 1950s and 60s, you notice that most of the Kebayas are getting more and more figure hugging with princess seams in front, which we know of as the Kebaya today. So the Kebaya is rather interesting because it's a collective of different cultures into one costume. So for instance, like I said, the top is actually from the Arabs, but it's evolved and it has to have European-style lacework and Chinese-style embroidered designs on the clothes. Then while the sarongs are actually usually made with batiks, and the batiks that we usually use in the past are mostly from Indonesia. And back then there were a lot of Chinese factories doing batiks to sell to the Chinese community all around Southeast Asia. So don't be surprised to see that the batiks that we use would have Chinese motifs of chickens, swans, cranes, phoenixes. That's why in Indonesia, Peranakan batiks have a special category. They are also known as batik encim. Encim is basically like sarong for women. The embroidery part is still hand done in a way whereby even though we are using sewing machines to do the embroidery, the hand done portion is actually with the control of your hand, because you need to use your hands to push and pull the embroidery hook to catch the embroidery stitches nicely onto the design. If your embroidery is not done nicely, it will not be very natural in look. On the average, most kebayas would take our artisan about 3 weeks at least to complete one. While the beaded shoes, in the past when I first learned how to do the Peranakan beadwork, is basically we are using a typical pitangan, which is an embroidery frame, tightly stretched out, and then what we do is we'll paste a piece of rice paper with boxes printed on top. Then on the side we have a beading design where we will count the rows and we stitch onto the paper itself. When I first learned that, I felt that it was too time consuming to count and sew at the same time. Currently I'm actually using a computer software to map and draw all my designs. Then when I print it out, I'll print it out based on its actual sizing, and then I'll just sew according to the design. Peranakan beadwork is the highest form of bead embroidery. We actually stitch the beads one by one. So in other words, if any beads ever broke, the rest of the beads around the surrounding area will hardly come off. Kim Choo will be taking part in Design Orchard's Heritage Festival for a pop-up running from 23rd July to 31st August. So if you come down to Design Orchard, you'll be able to find some of our kebayas, sarongs, beaded accessories. So discover and shop the full range at Design Orchard, and we'll see you there.